If you're here, that means you want to get your calories up and improve your metabolism, but I'm sure you just don't want to gain weight. And while this may seem impossible, it's actually not. I personally went from 2,200 calories to 2,900 calories without gaining weight. If you watched my reverse diet series where I brought my client Vivian through the process, you saw her go from 1,700 calories to 2,500 calories and not only had the same weight, but actually improved her body composition. My client Kenny went from 2,200 calories to 2,850 calories, weighed the same, and actually went from a super low carb approach of 75 grams per day and got them up to 250 grams per day and couldn't believe how great he felt. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the 4 key steps all of us did to get these results so you can give yourself the best chance possible. Now, the first step is making sure you use a good strength training program, making sure you're pushing close to failure. And it is important to make the distinction of weight and body fat because they are not always the same thing. One of my clients actually gained weight but improved her body composition, and this is because muscle has weight. But building muscle is not only helpful for body composition, but it's actually the single best thing you can do to actually improve your metabolism. So don't get too caught up in scale weight and make sure you're looking at pictures, pay attention to measurements and how your clothes are fitting, and understand when you first start increasing calories, the first couple pounds is all going to be things like water and glycogen and not body fat. Now, just like you want to stay diligent with your strength training, step 2 is on the nutrition side of things. Every reverse diet I've ever seen that went poorly is because the person got way too relaxed with their diet. They got caught up in feeling like, well, I'm probably going to gain weight anyways, so what's the point? And they just get super sloppy and end up gaining a bunch of weight. So this means staying accountable, making sure you're tracking your calories closely, making sure you're accounting for everything you eat, measuring things on a food scale as much as possible. This doesn't mean you can't go out. You certainly can, but the point is when you can control your food, get accurate measurements. When you can't, estimate it to the best of your ability and don't fall into the all or nothing mentality, as this perfectionist mindset will be an absolute disaster for your reverse diet. But considering how important accountability is with your nutrition, there's no better way to stay accountable than to hire me as your coach to walk you through the process, not only to tell you exactly what to do, you have someone who's not attached to your own brain and can make the right decisions. So if that's something you think you need, fill out an application. There's a link in the description. Now don't go anywhere because I'm going to talk at the end of the video about how fast you should increase your calories, but step 3 is about what you can utilize to increase your calories, and that is protein. I'm pretty much at the point now where I almost feel like you can eat as much protein as you want and it won't lead to extra body fat. There was even research where they doubled protein intake from 1 gram per pound to 2 grams per pound, and the higher protein group ate 800 calories more per day, didn't gain any additional body fat. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should probably just eat nothing but protein, but especially if your protein isn't up to around 1 gram per pound of your body weight, or at least around your lean body mass, so at least until you get your protein up to a more reasonable level, start there. You can go higher, but then really in terms of carbs and fats, doesn't really matter too much which you prefer. Given that you're hopefully going to be strength training hard, I do find that people tend to respond maybe a little bit better to carbs just because you're going to utilize that in your training, but don't get caught up in it, and just know if you really don't want to gain weight, protein is the way to go. Then step 4 is about how fast to increase your calories, and understand there's a trade-off here. There's no right or wrong. It's just the faster you increase calories, the more likely you are to gain body fat, but understand it also means it's going to take longer to get all the benefits like being less hungry, enjoying more food, having higher energy levels, sleeping better, performing better, which of course means the slower you increase calories, the less likely you are to gain weight, but it's going to take a lot longer to get all those benefits. Also keep in mind, there's many different ways you can increase calories. So say for instance, if you're going to increase your calories by 50 for the week, so say you're on 1,500 calories, if you increase by 50 and ate 1,550 every single day, that's one way to do it. But you could also take 50 times 7 days, that's 350 calories, add that 350 to 1 day, or quite frankly, you can go up and down any day however you want. As long as the average calories for the week works out, it doesn't really matter how you divvy it up. But from there, it's about how fast should you increase your calories. And it really kind of depends on what's happening week by week in terms of weight gain, weight loss, or maintaining your weight. And when you're doing this, don't look at individual days. Water weight fluctuations will cause your weight to go up and down even by several pounds. So what you want to do is weigh yourself first thing in the morning after going to the bathroom and before eating or drinking. Do this every single day, and then take an average for the week, because that's going to give you a much more accurate representation of what things look like. Also look at pictures, also pay attention to measurements, so don't only look at the scale, but that's a better way to do it. And then when it comes to how fast to increase your calories, I'm going to give you a range. Remember, it all depends on how much you want to balance, how quickly you get calories up versus not wanting to gain any body fat. So if you maintain from the previous week, I would increase your average calories by 20 to 50 for the following week. If you find you're actually losing weight, then you can increase calories faster because you're in a deficit. So anywhere between maybe 40 calories to even 100 plus calories if you're losing really quickly. Or if you find that you're actually gaining weight, then just hold your calories steady and give the body more time to adapt. But what you don't want to do is slash your calories because you're worried about this. That's going to work against the reverse, so be patient here and understand even with weekly averages, there's still fluctuation. Even when you're at true maintenance, it can go up or down a couple pounds week by week. This is normal, so it's more of a big picture thing than just any one individual week. Now, with all that being said, it's extremely important you understand you should not expect to not gain any weight, more specifically body fat, during this process. It's possible, but most people are gonna gain some, so don't let it freak you out. Don't place all your self-worth on body weight and don't judge yourself for it. But with that being said, there's a lot of mistakes people make when they're reverse dieting that sabotages their efforts. So to make sure you're not doing those things, check out this video next, and I'll show you the 5 worst things you can do when you're reverse dieting.